On behalf of the University of Wisconsin Latino and Black Law Student Associations, welcome to Understanding Police Use of Deadly Force. When a police action results in the loss of life, this concerns us all. In this video, we will discuss police training, the law, and the process of how officer-involved deaths are investigated. When it comes to using deadly force, the standard is really simple and also really complex and fact-specific. In Wisconsin, we have statewide training standards that are used to train all police officers that are certified in our state. These standards, along with our laws and our courts, tell officers how to conduct themselves. So, when can an officer use deadly force? An officer can use deadly force in order to stop the threat. And by threat, we mean a person posing a threat of death or great bodily harm. The officer must stop using deadly force once that threat is stopped, and the officer must use the least amount of force necessary in order to stop the threat and resolve the situation. It's important to remember that in many cases, the officer is making this decision in a very short amount of time under a great deal of stress. The officer must have a reasonable belief that he or she or a bystander is at risk of dying or being very seriously injured. To test how reasonable this belief was, we must ask ourselves, would a reasonable officer have acted the same way in the same situation? So what is deadly force? Deadly force is a police action that is likely to cause death when used against a person. Deadly force obviously includes the use of an officer's gun, but it can also include use of other weapons depending on how they're used and for how long. The same is true for how an officer perceives a threat. A person can pose a threat by using a gun or another weapon depending on how it's used. This can include hands, feet, and fists depending on the situation. Remember that most officers use force in order to protect themselves and others. If you have a police encounter, try to stay calm, do not resist, and do not ignore police commands.